Welcome back to Cultural Geography. This is the last video I'm thinking that we'll be doing for this week as we wrap up this chapter today. We're at big letter B, Western Africa's Atlantic coast. Hopefully you did the 2 homework assignments and took the quiz that I assigned in the last video. Let's get right to it. The countries listed here will be over Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Guinea-Bissau, Gambia, Cape Verde, and Senegal. So let's get right to it. Number 1, the country of Liberia. First of all, looking at the flag, you're like, wait a minute, that flag looks very familiar. I've seen a flag like that somewhere before. Yeah, it's got its influences with the United States. Look in your books at page 511, and please read the pink box entitled The Birth of Liberia to yourself. Once you finish, please unpause the video, and we will continue. Liberia is one of 2 countries to never be colonized by Europe. We all remember the other country was Ethiopia, which we talked about last chapter. Liberia became the first black republic in Africa. In fact, it was the second black republic in the world after Haiti. It is about the same size as the state of Tennessee and consists of mountains and plateaus with dense tropical forests. Liberia gets about 160 inches of rain a year, so about 4 times what we in Florida get. 43% are animist, 41% affiliate with Christianity, and 15% are Muslim. Most people are involved in agriculture. The country dealt with military coups in the 1980s and 90s. In 2005, Liberia elected the first female president in Africa. Her name was Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. In January 2006, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf became Africa's first elected female head of state when she won the position as president of Liberia. She was educated as an economist in the U.S. and served as assistant minister of finance in Liberia and worked for the World Bank. President Johnson Sirleaf has worked to repair strained relations with neighboring countries. She has also worked successfully to eliminate Liberia's national debt. In 2011, she was re-elected president. That same year, she won the Nobel Peace Prize along with 2 other influential women for work towards women's rights. The Liberian rubber industry was developed in 1926 by Firestone Tire and Rubber Company. You've heard of Firestone. Harvey Firestone, an American, purchased land for rubber production out of concerns about the future cost and availability of rubber in the U.S. Before the latest civil wars in Liberia, more than half of that country's population worked in the rubber industry. Firestone had to rebuild much of its property after the violence. Firestone invested around $85 million to restore the plant's infrastructure and rubber tree saplings. The company has built over 1,700 housing units and 26 schools. Firestone supported healthcare facilities, provide medical care to nearly 9,000 patients each month. So you wonder, what does Firestone do? They don't just make tires, they basically provide the medical care for the country of Liberia. On page 512, there's a pink box titled Typical Liberian Meal. Please read that box to yourself. Once you finish, please unpause the video, and we will continue. Number 2, the country of Sierra Leone. About half the size of the state of Illinois, consists of low-lying swamps near the coast, and then becomes wooded hills, plateaus, and mountains further inland. In fact, the word Sierra Leone literally means Lion Mountains. The Portuguese named it Sierra Leone, which means Lion Mountains. It was colonized by the British and gained its independence in 1961. Today, Sierra Leone is one of the leading producers of diamonds. In 1991, civil war erupted and destroyed most of its economy. Part of the reason for this is because of the diamond business. Since 2002, it has slowly begun to recover. 52% of the GDP is from agriculture. It is the 9th largest producer of citrus fruit. The country also grows rice, vegetables, cassava, pulses, and coffee. 63% of the people are Muslim, 23% are animist, and 13% identify as Christian. You might be noticing you might notice in a moment as we start going through this, a couple of countries that we've talked about or will be talking about have the name Guinea in it. You wonder, why in the world is this word used in all these different country names? Well, turn in your books to page 514 and read the box entitled Guineas. Once you have finished reading the box, please unpause the video, and you'll know what the answer to the question I just asked. So let's talk about the first, actually not even the first Guinea, the first Guinea today. Guinea was colonized originally by France. It was called French Guinea. It gained its independence in 1958. 1958 it became the first communist country in Africa. It struggled economically and politically, has made significant progress recently, as demonstrated by democratic elections in 2010. Swamps cover the coastline, then rises into plateaus, and then hills and small mountains further inland. Today, Guinea produces the third most amounts of bauxite and citrus fruit in the world. Guinea also mines iron ore, gold, uranium, and diamonds. Other agricultural crops grown in Guinea include rice, groundnuts, cassava, plantains, and cattle meat. 88% of the population is Muslim, while the rest are Christians and animists. Number 4, the country of Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau is about half the size of South Carolina. Most of the land consists of lowlands of swamps and rainforests, as well as islands off its coast. It was colonized by Portugal and gained its independence in 1974 after years of fighting for their independence. Constant fighting and communism has made this country one of the poorest in Africa. The country dealt with military coups as recently as 2003. Most people are involved in agriculture. The country grows cashew nuts, rice, pork, cattle meat, groundnuts, and plantains. 52% of the people are Muslims, 35% are animists, 11% identify as Christians. So those are all the Guineas of this chapter. Guinea, Guinea-Bissau. We talked about Equatorial Guinea before. Of course, we don't want to forget about New Guinea or so on and so forth. So yeah, there's plenty of Guineas out there. You just got to look for them. Ooh, number 5, Gambia. I was hoping to wake some of you guys up there with that picture. Gambia is considered the smallest country in Africa, not to be confused with the hippopotamus, which is one of the largest animals that you will find in African River, also one of the most dangerous. Don't be confused by the fun game Hungry Hungry Hippos. It might sound all fun and games until you are one of those little white ball things that get eaten up alive. So, hippos are very, very dangerous things. Gambia is about twice the size of the state of Delaware. Located on the Gambia River, it is about 200 miles long and 20 miles wide, so a really, really tiny country. It was a British colony until it gained its independence in 1970. Its government has dealt with military coups, and it is still repressive today. 75% of the people are involved in agriculture. They produce groundnuts, millet, cattle meat, rice, sorghum, and maize. Number 6, the island country of Cape Verde. If you look at the screen, Cape Verde, you see right underneath the number 6, the letter C, that is where Cape Verde is located. Cape Verde consists of 15 islands and islets, 400 miles off the western coast of Africa. It is slightly larger than the state of Rhode Island. It was colonized by Portugal and gained its independence in 1975. Most people are Catholics. The country deals with poverty and has to import most of its food, but has remained relatively peaceful since independence. Obviously, you can imagine it is a big tourist attraction as well. Last country we'll talk about is the country of Senegal. Senegal is slightly smaller than the state of South Dakota. It was colonized by France and gained its independence in 1960. It dealt with communism during the Cold War, but has recently allowed other parties to compete in government. Senegal consists of a semi-arid climate. It is the only country that we've discussed this chapter that is primarily dry throughout its country. It provides a diplomatic and cultural link between the Islamic North Africa and the rest of Africa. About 91% of the people are Muslim. Most people are nomadic herders tending cattle, sheep, and goats. The country grows groundnuts, millets, rice, maize, and cassava. Turn in your books, please, to page 519. 518, my bad. On page 518, there is a pink box entitled Superstitious Wrestling. Please read that pink box to yourself. Once you finish reading, please unpause the video, and we will continue. That, my students, is the end of the notes. And by the way, that's the end of the notes for the last time this school year. For your last homework assignment, it's pages 179 and 180 in your activities book. 179 and 180 is the chapter review, so there'll be some underlining terms, some matching sections, and some short answer questions. As your last homework assignment, please remember, make sure that you do it. So, for this week, you've been given 3 homework assignments and 1 quiz to do. Please make sure that you turn this in with your Week 7 packet. Tomorrow, Friday, is technically your review day for the test. And so next week, all you will be getting, let me start over. So all you'll need to be worrying about will be the Chapter 20 test. And that'll be the last thing, the only thing that you'll be assigned for the week. I hope you all have a good weekend. I hope you all have a good summer. Have an opportunity to honor and glorify the Lord in whatever you do. I know I'll be having a great summer with my wedding coming up. Hope you all have a good rest of the day. Be good, do good. Bye.